domes and metal husks that once housed tens of thousands of humans. High above the devastation, Commander Ralsoon of the Xyrathan Empire stood at the bridge of his flagship, content in the quiet after the slaughter. He watched the final bombardment ripple through the colony's atmosphere, a thin smile cutting across his scaled features. Human distress signals still clawed at open channels, desperate and pointless. He silenced them with a flick of his talon. Another nest cleared. His second-in-command Vectress reported, voice cold with pride. "Your record remains unblemished, Commander." Ralsoon folded his hands behind his back. "Of course it does. Humans resist, but they do not understand war. They cling to sentiment, to hope, as though either holds weight in the void. Their colonies fall because they do not deserve to keep them." He paced forward, tail swaying, watching chunks of burning debris drift like ash in space. "The Empress will be pleased. This one fought harder than the last." "They always do," Vectress replied, though a spark of curiosity remained in his eyes. "Yet I still find it odd. Such a small species. Such rapid expansion. These worlds are meaningless, but they spread like infection." Ralsoon dismissed the thought. "And like infection we cleanse them, is the purpose of empire. Inferior civilizations survive only until they inconvenience us. This one has reached its limit." He didn't notice the way Vectress hesitated before saluting and returning to his post. The bridge dimmed to night lighting, and Ralsoon allowed himself a moment of private satisfaction. Every shattered dome, every burning city, every calculating strike, it all affirmed a simple truth. The galaxy belonged to his people by nature, by birth, by superiority. Humanity was merely the latest species to forget that. But victory never fully quieted his thoughts. Always somewhere beneath triumph, a whisper of caution lived. Humans were not like the others they'd conquered. They broke, yes, like every weaker race, but they did not bow. They did not beg. Even their final transmissions carried defiance instead of submission. Pointless, but strange. He was about to dismiss the thought when a call chimed through the bridge. "Commander, priority transmission," an officer announced. "The Council has authorized your next target. Coordinates incoming." Ralsoon nodded, but when the holographic display materialized, he paused, brow tightening. The target was not a frontier settlement, not a distant mineral moon, not one of the expendable outposts humans sprinkled across the fringe. It was Sol, Earth, their homeworld. Vectress breathed. Ralsoon stared for a long moment, then straightened. At last. They will break properly when the root is torn out. He approved the strike order. Across the darkness between stars, humanity did not bow. Humanity prepared. High in orbit above the moon, where the wreckage of forgotten wars framed Earth in twisted metal, Fleet Admiral Elias Mercer stood alone in Observation Deck 2 of the newly commissioned dreadnought Everstorm. He watched the blue planet beneath him with equal parts pride and grief. Too many memorial lights glittered across the continents, reminders of lost colonies, lost families, lost peace. His reflection stared back at him in the wide glass, eyes shadowed from long nights and impossible decisions. Elias Mercer was a man who had never wanted command. He had trained for diplomacy, advocated restraint, and spent years urging peace between stars. But peace, he had learned, could not exist when only one side desired it. The door slid open behind him. "Admiral," said Rear Admiral Lydia Rourke, steady-voiced and sharp-eyed, "long-range arrays confirm it. Xyrathan forces are on approach. Their flagship is leading the formation. Earliest arrival estimate, 3 hours." Elias inhaled slowly and set his jaw. "So it begins." Rourke stepped beside him, following his gaze to Earth. "We always knew they would come. The colonies bought us enough time. Every world that fell gave us data. Tactics, patterns, weaknesses. We're as ready as anyone could ever be." "That isn't comfort," Elias murmured. "It's necessity." He finally turned from the window. "Have the task force commanders assemble in the war room. Quiet channel, black signal. No speeches. No broadcasts. The public doesn't need fear. They need to wake up tomorrow to freedom, not panic." She nodded and left to carry the order. When Elias walked the corridors of the Everstorm, the crew straightened in silence, acknowledging him with reverence he wished he didn't command. He responded with small nods, offering steadiness where hope felt fragile. He saw their nerves, young officers gripping data pads too tightly, veterans staring ahead with haunted focus, but beneath the tension lived something stronger, something the enemy had never understood. Humanity didn't endure because it was strong. Humanity endured because it refused to stay down. In the war room, the holographic table flickered with red enemy vectors, blue defensive arcs, and golden strike formations. The commanders around it fell silent as Elias entered. "We will not meet them with rage," he began, voice firm, steady, controlled. "Rage blinds. Precision wins. The Xyrathan Empire expects fear. They expect retreat. They believe we are fractured. They believe our colonies were weaknesses." General Imani folded her arms. "Let us show them they were bait instead." A thin smile ghosted across Elias' face. "Exactly. We don't fight to match their brutality. We fight to end it." His gaze hardened. "No glory runs. No vengeance strikes. Every action must serve our singular objective, break their will to continue this war." "And when their will is broken?" another commander asked. Elias' silence spoke before his words did. "Then we offer them what they never offered us. Surrender. Survival. A future. If they refuse," the room fell colder, "we do what must be done. And history will know we gave them a choice." Orders were dispatched. Fleets maneuvered. Wormhole gates warmed. Autonomous squadrons waited for silent handshakes. Humanity did not roar. Humanity prepared quietly, like a blade hidden in cloth. Far across the void, Ralsoon's fleet dropped from faster-than-light transit at the edge of Sol, weapons armed, formations locked. The bridge of his flagship buzzed with eagerness. Earth waited before them, blue, unguarded, unthreatening. "Commander," Vectress said, "scans show minimal defenses. Their fleets are scattered. Vulnerable." Ralsoon's confidence returned in full. "Then today marks their end. Signal the fleet. Commence the offensive." No sooner had the words left his tongue than alarms sparked across the bridge. Dozens, then hundreds. Impossible readings filled the displays. Ships emerging where no ships had been, wormholes blooming like artificial stars, human vessels sliding into formation with impossible precision. Vectress stared, speechless. They were waiting. Ralsoon's smile died, and humanity opened its eyes. Ralsoon's fleet drifted in sudden uncertainty, their invasion formation disrupted before a single shot could be fired. Human ships, sleek, angular, and far more numerous than expected, slid into a coordinated perimeter like pieces of a trap long prepared. Silent, precise, intentional. Ralsoon stared at the tactical display, feeling something he had never experienced in open space: hesitation. "How are they here?" Vectress whispered. "Their fleets were scattered. We confirmed it. We saw." "What we saw," Ralsoon cut in, voice tightening, "was what they wanted us to see. They baited us." His talons curled against the command rail. This system was a lure from the beginning. Across the bridge, officers exchanged uneasy glances. Xyrathan doctrine was built on superiority, on the certainty of dominance. But this quiet human wall of steel and intent, challenged everything. Their ships didn't advance. They didn't flee. They simply waited, as though they held a truth the Empire had never considered. A soft ping sounded. "Incoming transmission," an officer said, voice thin. Ralsoon hesitated before giving a nod. The main screen flickered, and Admiral Elias Mercer appeared. No fanfare. No raging threats. His face was calm, eyes steady, controlled. Behind him, the hum of a human bridge was barely audible. "This is Fleet Admiral Elias Mercer of United Earth Defense Accord," he said. "You have entered Sol, home of our species. You will power down your weapons, withdraw your fleet, and cease your campaign against humanity. Do this, and you will be granted the possibility of negotiated peace." The bridge fell silent. Not one Xyrathan moved. Elias continued, his tone respectful but immovable. "If you refuse, I will meet you with everything we have built. And I assure you, Commander, we have built more than you imagine." Ralsoon's jaw tightened. "Your colonies burned," he replied evenly. "Your worlds fell, one after another. And you believe you can dictate terms to us now." Elias did not blink. Yes. There was no arrogance in the single word. No bravado. Just certainty. Ralsoon ended the transmission before frustration cracked his composure. "Prepare a forward strike. If they want to stare us down, we will remind them who controls this war." Yet his own officers did not respond with the crisp obedience he expected. There was hesitation in their posture, doubt in their eyes. Vectress lowered his voice. "Commander, look at their formation again." Ralsoon followed his gaze to the display. Human ships were arranged not like prey bracing for slaughter, but like hunters, patient, unhurried, perfectly positioned. Millions of kilometers of space were locked in a silent standoff, but only one side looked confident. They knew we were coming, Vectress said. Not hours ago. Weeks. Months. Maybe years. Raoul soon felt heat rise beneath his scales. Then we strike. Now. Before they. Before he could finish, sensors blared as pulse cannons and rail batteries across the human line powered up in a synchronized wave. Not firing. Not provoking. Just waiting. Elias' message had been a warning, not a plea. Raoul soon forced steel back into his voice. Signal the fleet. We begin with a precision strike on their left wing. Break the formation before it closes. Orders echoed across the armada. Engines roared. Weapons primed. Then the humans moved first. The left wing blurred out of existence, only to reappear behind the Xyrathan vanguard, bending space with controlled wormhole jumps that should have been impossible on such a massive scale. Before the Empire's ships could react, human targeting arrays lit their hulls. Not firing. Just marking. One move away from crippling them. Raoul Soon's blood ran cold. Humanity wasn't reacting. Humanity was orchestrating. On the Everstorm's command deck, Elias watched quietly as the trap tightened. He issued no triumphant remarks, no theatrical commands. His voice stayed steady, pace controlled. Hold your fire. I want the commander to feel every inch of this. Pressure reveals truth long before violence does. Rourke braced her hands on the console. They'll attack. Pride won't let them retreat. I know, Elias replied, but history will remember that we offered restraint before retribution. His eyes carried exhaustion but not weakness. There was pain in him, loss, memory, cost, and it shaped him more than hatred ever could. His restraint wasn't softness. It was discipline hard-earned through grief. A junior officer glanced back. Sir, if they realize we're capable of full encirclement, they may panic. Desperate fleets are dangerous fleets. Elias nodded. Then we remain steady. Calm breaks empires faster than rage ever could. He meant the words. Yet a shadow lingered behind his calm, the knowledge that today would stain his conscience forever. Even victory here would demand ruin, and he would carry that weight long after the galaxy forgot it. Raoul soon felt the trap closing. His officers awaited his command, their confidence eroding. The enemy had sprung their jaws around the Empire's greatest fleet without firing a single shot. If he pressed forward, they might lose everything in the opening exchange. If he ordered retreat, fear would spread through the Empire faster than any defeat. Elias Mercer had not merely outmaneuvered him. He had attacked something far more fragile, belief. Commander. Vectress pressed. Your orders. Raoul Soon forced himself to stand taller. We strike through them. If humanity wishes to intimidate us, then we answer with the only language war respects. But even he heard the strain in his own voice. He opened a channel to his fleet, ready to give the command that would ignite the largest battle in Xyrathan history. Before he spoke, a final message arrived, short, encrypted, and time-stamped for this exact moment. From United Earth Defense Accord. Subject, last offer. One line. No signature. Withdraw or witness what we become when we stop holding back. Raoul soon stared at the words. There was no mockery. No fear. No plea. Just promise. He crushed the message in his talon, broadcast fleet-wide orders, and committed the Empire to war. The human wall began to close, and the first shot had yet to be fired. The first shot shattered the silence. A Xyrathan destroyer, unwilling to wait for its commander's courage to harden, loosed a blazing spear of plasma toward the nearest human frigate. In the half-second before impact, the frigate vanished, folding space and reappearing behind its attacker. The plasma bolt streaked harmlessly into the void. A moment later, the destroyer erupted in a chain of implosions as human rail batteries tore through its spine, ending the ship before anyone aboard realized their mistake. That single exchange ignited the war. The void filled with lances of light, missile swarms, ion bursts, and rail slugs. Raoul Soon's voice cut across his fleet, demanding cohesion, demanding aggression, demanding belief. But belief faltered. His armada struggled to form a stable front against an enemy that moved like thought, appearing, striking, vanishing. Every order he gave was countered as though humanity anticipated his decisions before he made them. Collapse their flank, he barked. cut off their jump vectors. Commander, we cannot predict their trajectory, Vectress snapped, panic sharpening his tone. Every time we adjust, they move again. It's as if they're reading us. Raoul soon gritted his teeth. Then stop reacting. Seize initiative. We are not prey. But even he heard how hollow it sounded. Human formations wove patterns across the tactical display, geometric, flawless, almost beautiful in their precision. For every Xyrathan ship that fired, 3 more suffered. For every formation they attempted, humanity broke it apart. Not loudly, not chaotically, with cold, surgical control. And then the Everstorm entered the fray. The massive dreadnought descended through the battle line like a dark moon, guns silent, shields glowing, unhurried. Its very presence rippled through the Xyrathan ranks. Raoul soon felt fear spread across comm channels, not fear of its size, but of its purpose. It didn't come to trade fire. It came to end decisions. On its bridge, Elias Mercer stood at the center dais, eyes fixed on the unfolding carnage. His voice was steady, but sorrow edged each command. Target only combat drivers and engines when possible. Disable before you destroy. Give them room to surrender. Rourke shot him a pained look. They aren't surrendering. Not yet, Elias murmured. But if we abandon restraint now, we become what we fight. Another officer called out, direct strike on the Everstorm's bow, plasma supercharge. Elias raised a hand. Absorb and counter with a single broadside. Minimal force. The dreadnought endured the blast without flinching. A moment later, one pulse from its rail array clipped the enemy cruiser that fired, snapping its hull in two. Human ships surged forward, tightening the noose. Still, Elias' heart sank with every Xyrathan vessel that died. He knew Ralston could end this simply by yielding. Every minute the commander refused added hundreds more to the dead. Elias' restraint was not weakness, it was anguish. Across the battlefield, Ralston watched flames bloom. In all his campaigns, he had never seen an enemy fight like this. It wasn't rage that drove humanity. It wasn't desperation. It was conviction, unyielding and terrifying. They fought as though the outcome wasn't in question, as though they had already decided the Empire would fall. His communications lit up, captains screaming for direction, ships requesting reinforcement, voices begging for permission to retreat. Discipline strained to breaking. Silence those channels, he roared. All ships converge on the dreadnought. Cut the head from their formation. Kill their admiral, and the rest will scatter. But in his chest, doubt coiled like ice. The fleet shuddered forward. Thousands of guns focused on the Everstorm, charging to lethal output. In response, human ships shifted formation again, forming a living shield around their flagship. They would die before they let a single shot reach Elias Mercer. Rourke leaned closer. They're massing everything on us. I know, Elias said, voice low. They think this ship is the heart of our will. Isn't it? He looked at her, and for a fleeting second, she saw vulnerable exhaustion in the man beneath the rank. No, humanity's strength has never lived in one vessel, or one leader. He turned back to the display. Prepare the Nova Wall. The bridge fell silent. Rourke swallowed. Elias, there's no going back if we deploy it. I'm aware. You swore you never would. He exhaled, closing his eyes just long enough to steady the weight in his chest. I swore we wouldn't be first to inflict devouring fire. We weren't. They brought it to our colonies. And they wouldn't stop. If I must choose between my oath and my species, then. He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Rourke nodded and relayed the order. Across hundreds of human ships, emitters unfolded like steel wings. A blazing lattice began forming between them, threads of contained stellar fury, weaving into an energy barrier that expanded outward. Not a shield, not a weapon. Something between. Something worse. Ralston watched the blooming light with growing horror. What are they doing? Vectress' voice trembled. I don't know. There is no record of a structure like this. Commander, we must fall back before. No. Ralston snapped. We finish this. But he could see it in the eyes of his officers. Faith was dying. The Nova Wall ignited, releasing a spherical wave of folding radiation that raced outward. It did not tear ships apart. It gutted them. Systems died instantly. Weapons failed. Engines darkened. Thousands of Xyrathan vessels caught mid-charge, went cold and powerless, adrift in silent arcs across space. The battle ended in a single breath. On the Everstorm, Elias lowered his gaze. Cease expansion. Hold the line. Offer terms again to every surviving ship. Send rescue craft to drifting vessels. They are enemies, not animals. We will show a path other than annihilation. Rourke nodded, voice tight. Some of our officers won't like sparing them. Then they will learn our principles or request reassignment, Elias replied softly. Justice without mercy is only vengeance in uniform. The human bridge moved to carry out his orders, but Elias remained still. Around him, the weight of victory pressed down, heavy as stone. He had wanted peace more than triumph. Peace had never wanted him back. Debris drifted like frozen rain between stars. Fires dimmed. The void grew quiet once more. On his crippled flagship, Raoul Sun stood amid flickering lights and a shuddering deck, staring at the ruin of his fleet. His pride was ash. His certainty shattered. Humanity had not simply defeated him. They had dismantled everything he believed about power, destiny, and dominance. Vectress approached slowly, voice hollow. Commander, what do we do now? Raoul Sun had no answer. For the first time in his life, he felt small. He turned toward the fractured viewport, watching the human ships hold formation, unyielding and silent, not gloating, not celebrating, waiting, offering him a choice he had never thought he'd face. Surrender or extinction. The message arrived once more, identical to before, as though humanity had known this moment would come. Withdraw or witness what we become when we stop holding back. Raoul Sun closed his eyes, and the war finally hung in hesitation. The enemy armada broke apart like glass under pressure, its once perfect formations collapsing into spirals of flickering thrusters and dying signals. Human rail lances carved through dreadnought armor with quiet precision, each strike calculated, each kill necessary. Admiral Reyes watched the tactical display from the command well of the horizon's wake, arms folded, gaze steady. The enemy fleet was massive, but it no longer felt overwhelming. It felt contained, predictable. Already lost. 70% of their capital line is down, Commander Imani reported, her voice controlled but breathless. No coordinated counter left. Just scattered resistance. Reyes didn't smile. Hold our outer wings. Don't waste velocity. Every shot is deliberate, every movement minimal. We finish this clean. His tone was calm, unburdened by the weight of victory or vengeance. He sounded like a surgeon closing a wound. Across the war zone, Koro Aeneas's flagship drifted through debris fields lit by weapon fire and burning hulls. The warlord gripped the railing beside his command throne, mandibles tense, eyes fixed on the catastrophe unfolding. He had expected stubbornness. He had expected claws and rage and primal chaos from humanity. Not this. Not cold efficiency. Not a fleet that moved like a single will. Admiral, one of his bridge officers trembled. Our second line requests retreat authorization. No, Coronis growled. They will hold. If we fracture further, we die in pieces. But his voice lacked conviction. Every order he gave now felt like a lie collapsing under its own weight. On the human flagship, Reyes tilted his head, listening to encrypted comms from across multiple divisions, each one reporting progress, order, control. No arrogance. No cheering. A silent, methodical annihilation. As intended. Sir, Imani asked quietly, do we grant corridor for surrender signals? Not yet, Reyes said. They're not ready to mean it. The battle raged, but its outcome had already hardened into inevitability. Waves of drones, human-designed, autonomous, and terrifying in their simplicity, poured through breached hulls, disabling reactors, stripping weapons, leaving ships intact but powerless. Reyes had given strict instructions: minimize death, maximize collapse. Win the Empire, not just the battle. Within the enemy flagship, the bridge shook as another internal explosion rippled through its structure. Officers shouted, consoles flared, and red emergency strobes washed over Coronis's face. His empire was dying in front of him, fast, clean, unstoppable. Why do they not close for boarding? One officer spat. Why do they not take trophies as conquerors do? Coronis knew. The realization sickened him. They don't need trophies, he muttered. They only want control. And control, he now understood, could be more terrifying than any brutality. A final surge of human fire punctured the flagship's defenses, and its weapon grid went dark. Imani looked to Reyes. Their command ship is dead in space. We can end this now. Reyes nodded once. Open channel. The HoloLink crackled to life, projecting a shimmering image of Koro-NAS across the command well. Smoke swirled behind him. His armor was scorched, his pride barely intact. Reyes stood with hands behind his back, posture composed, voice even. Koro-NAS of the sovereign clans, he said. Your fleet is defeated. Your outer territories are collapsed. Your empire has no line of retreat and no means of retaliation. The war is over. You will order surrender. Koro-NAS laughed once, a bitter rasp. You presume to dictate terms to a warrior of my blood? I will die before I bend to your species. Reyes didn't blink. If you wish to die, Admiral, you would already be dead. I'm offering you a future. Not comfort, not dignity, just a future. Take it, or your people pay the price for your pride. For a moment, neither spoke. Their gazes locked, one controlled, one burning. Around them, the void raged, but the war hung on this single thread of silence. You are not conquerors, Koro-NASist. You are something colder. You do not want submission. You want inevitability. Reyes stepped closer to the hollow. We didn't start this war. But now that we're in it, we'll end it in a way that prevents the next one. No cycles. No revenge. Total stability, enforced by fact. Humanity does not need your permission to survive. Koro-NAS's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. His defiance was still there, but fractured, cracked like a statue struck by too many blows. Reyes pressed once more, voice low. Order the surrender. Not for us. For those who still breathe on your worlds and stations. You know I'm right. Slowly, painfully, Koro-NAS shut his eyes. He hated everything in this moment. Reyes, humanity, fate, and mostly himself. But he was not blind. And he was not a fool. When he opened his eyes again, they still burned with defiance, but not denial. I will give the order, he said. But hear me, human, I do not kneel. Not to you. Not to any species that crawled from a single blue world. Reyes nodded once, not triumphant, not condescending. Simply acknowledging a reality. You don't need to kneel. You just need to stop. The channel cut. The surrender ripple spread through the remaining enemy fleet like a silent shockwave. Ships powered down. Weapons dimmed. Engines cooled. The war zone fell quiet. Imani exhaled, shoulders sagging with exhaustion. It's done, she whispered. Reyes stared at the drifting enemy flagship, his reflection caught in the glass. No, he said quietly. It's only begun. Hours later, aboard a secure diplomatic chamber, Reyes met Koro-NAS face to face. No hollow. No screens. Just two commanders, victorious and broken in their own ways. Koro-NAS stepped forward, chin raised, voice steady but laced with the remnants of shattered pride. You may hold the galaxy in your fist, Reyes. But know this, one day, someone will rise who does not fear you. Reyes studied him. Then we'll meet them. And we'll choose differently than you did. Koro-NAS's mandibles twitched. I did what strength demanded. And I did what survival required, Reyes replied. That is the difference. For a long moment, they simply stared, two wills locked in a final, unspoken clash. No victory parade. No cheers. Just the weight of history settling over them. Reyes finally turned toward the viewport, watching the stars shift as reconstruction fleets began their quiet work. This galaxy is unstable, he said. We will fix it with or without cooperation. You may stand against us or stand beside us. But the age of chaos is over. Koro-NAS gave a final, bitter exhale. I will stand for my people. Not for you. Never for you. Reyes nodded. That's enough. Behind them, the stars burned on. The war was over, but the future felt heavier than ever, an unwritten empire built not of celebration, but consequence. Humanity had not become monsters nor saviors. They had become something far more dangerous. Awake, and the galaxy would never sleep again.